Hi crafters, Karen here, and in today's video, it's all about another oh-so-inspired collaboration hop hosted by Alicia from Call Me Crafty Al. Now, if you tuned in last month, we are changing up our oh-so-inspired collab a little bit. So we will be inspired by each other. That means that we are going to be inspired by our collaboration team. So each team member gets a turn each month. So we will be doing this from January to November. And back in January, Danny started us off from Danny's Dreams. And for our inspirer this month, it will be me. So I'm super excited that I get to be the inspirer this time. And I can't wait to see the videos that the collaboration team does because I can't wait to see how they were inspired by me. And there is a playlist link in the description box below. There will also be one at the end of this video that you can click on so you can see the collaboration team's videos on what they were inspired by. Up on screen is the image that I was inspired by. And yes, I did create that card just recently, and I really liked that leaf stamp. So in today's project, I'm going to be doing some tone on tone, and that is what that light blue piece of cardstock is for. For my stamps, I'm bringing back that leaf canopy stamp set by Altenew, and I will be using that outline leaf stamp. For my sentiment, I brought in this sentiments stamp set. I don't know who this is from. I've had it in my stash for a long time, but I'll be using that Celebrate You Today for my sentiment. And then once I have everything laid out on my blue piece of cardstock, I'm going to use my A2 postage stamp stacklets to cut that out. And then I will be doing heat embossing, and I'll be using the silver embossing powder from Ranger. I'll also be doing some coloring, and I'm using the True Blue Blend marker from the Spectrum Noir marker set. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started with the project. So I bring in my Misty, and before I do any stamping, and because I'm doing heat embossing, I bring in my anti-static powder from Tailored Expressions, and I make sure I get enough on there because I don't want the embossing powder to stick where I don't want it to. So that's going to help put the embossing powder where it needs to be. I go ahead, I bring in my Versamark, and I stamp the image. I get that set. I stamped it twice because the middle part of the leaves didn't really stamp I didn't see it good enough, so I went back and did another layer. And now I'm going to take the same leaf set and I'm going to turn it around and stamp it on the bottom, and I'm going to kind of do the same thing here where I stamp it twice because I really want to make sure that the embossing powder will be picked up once I get that on there. So I bring in the silver, and I chose silver because I really like how silver and blue go together. And so I go ahead and I pour on the embossing powder, and then I bring in my heat tool and I get that set and I melt the powder. And I will do that to both sides of the card front here. And now that I have that set, I'm going to bring in my True Blue Blend Spectrum Noir marker, and I'm going to use the light and the mid parts of the marker to color in the leaves. So this, again, continues that tone-on-tone look, and I'm going back and forth just picking different leaves between the light and the medium, and you can see that some I just shade in with the light, some I just shade in with the mid. And then some of them I'm going back and I'm using both. So I go in and I start with the light, I outline with the mid, and then I go back with the light and I just, try to shade that and blend that in together. And that is the process that you will see here throughout the rest of the top part of this leaf stamp. And then I will, once I have the top done, I will move down to the bottom and do the same thing. Now, you can do this on right on the card base, but know that when later on in the video, you'll see that when I go to place the ATG tape on the back, that the marker did bleed through the paper. And this is why I wanted to have a card front to do the coloring. That way I can just place it on either on top of the card base But you'll see what I do. I am going to be layering it on a piece of black cardstock using that A2 postage stamp stacklet from Tailored Expressions. I wanted to have a pretty sharp color that would kind of help draw all this blue and silver. And the black really does make it look sharp, and you'll see that in just a few minutes. Now that I've got that coloring done, I'm going to go ahead, bring back my Misty, and I'm going to set the piece inside, and I'm going to get my stamp, my sentiment stamp, and layer that and get the Versamark on there. And again, I do place that on there twice because I want to make sure that I have enough for the embossing powder to stick. Now, I'm going to use white embossing powder for this sentiment instead of the silver. I really wanted the white to kind of pop off the page, and I wanted silver to just kind of be on its own, and then I wanted the sentiment just a different color. And since I was heat embossing, I thought, why not? Let's do our sentiment the same way. So after I get the embossing powder on there, I go ahead, I use my heat gun, melt it, and now I'm going to go ahead and use that A2 postage stacklet and take care of that off screen. And that is what it looks like afterwards. So here's what I was talking about with the ink, the marker bleeding through. And, you know, if you do that on your card base, you can always layer the inside with a piece of white cardstock. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Here I'm bringing in my Prismacolor white colored pencil. And what I want to do is I want to add a little bit more detail to the leaves on the front of the card. And all I'm doing is I'm taking my pencil and I'm really just marking kind of like some borders, just kind of shading in a little bit more of that white on those leaves. And I'm not going too crazy. I'm not pressing too hard. I just want enough on the outer edges of the leaves to kind of give it a little bit more detail and give it a better finished look. And it's hard to see on camera, but in person, after adding this technique here, it really does really step the card up a little bit more. And I really like how it looks, and I'm glad that I, thought about trying to use this, and it really did work out really, really well, and I'm pleased with that. So now that I have that finished, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my card base, my bone folder, bring in my ATG tape, and get that set. And after I have that set, I'm going to bring in some diamond dots, and these are from a project that I was working on, a diamond dot project. I'm going to get those laid out. I'm going to get those added to the card, and that is really the finished touch of the card, is adding these diamond dots to the front just for more added embellishment. And I went with white because I wanted it to match the sentiment, and I thought that was a good color to choose. And this pretty much wraps up my video, guys. I hope that it has inspired you to give it a try. And remember, you want to use outline stamps if you're going to try this technique. And until my next video, I hope your day is a crafty day, and we'll see you all again real soon. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, take a look at everybody else's videos and see what they created. Take care. Bye-bye.